Hello everybody, welcome back to Amazon European Masters. Viper and Jabana coming at you live after a very dominant victory for Vitality.Bee over Szygenda, guaranteeing themselves a place in the quarterfinals alongside Ego Rogue, who they also dragged kicking and screaming into the top 8. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean for Eintracht Spandau and Szygenda they will be going home after today, but they've both still got games to play.
They do still have games to play, of course. It's going to be Eintracht taking on Vitality.Bee in game number 3. But not only that, because of the way that the games have now fallen and the order of such, the final game of the day is literally pending results, I suppose. Fighting for first seed, hopefully, here for both Go Rogue and Vitality.Bee. And yeah, I'm kind of just excited to now hopefully see Vitality.Bee keep up the same momentum coming out of this game into Eintracht Spandau, and then of course a Go Rogue later on. Hopefully they can take down Red Star to give us that very wonderful first place fight.
Well, I mean, if you're wondering where that momentum comes from, if you've just joined us, we're going to have a quick look back at the last game, Szygenda versus Vitality.Bee. And Jabana, this was all about itemization, saying, look, one team needs one item, one team needs 2 items, and the team that only needed 1 item, they were the ones who got 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the issue for Red Star here in this draft is effectively there's no section of the draft which works as a bit of a bridge, something to walk on to get to that late stage portion of the team fight. There's nothing they can really rely on in comparison to Vitality.Bee's comp, right? Because in some cases, maybe you could actually leverage Jinx and Karma pressure, but the issue is Skeanz very early on shut down the ability of Golden Toes and Tasteless to consistently shove in those waves, and then it just turned into unfortunate and very poor and unfavorable skirmishes on the bottom side time and time again because Skeanz was paying so much damn attention to the bottom lane.
And I mean, we talk about Skeanz having a really impactful performance. Diplex on the Vex.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. The damage coming out of this guy was absurd and was so capable of just ripping up teamfights, providing a lot of utility to the rest of the roster. And a couple of teamfights looked okay for Red Star. It didn't look like they were at a 10k disadvantage, but they still came out behind.
Yeah, and I mean, even in a situation like this, like Diplex, sure, he gets caught by the shockwave. Zhonya's, so he doesn't get immediately, burst down after that. And then he's kind of just providing space for the rest of his team in stasis because nobody else can approach. And not only that, Szygenda then followed up on that and made it a close to Sylas. And this is, again, one of those fights where you kind of start to think, okay, maybe if Red Star can, not fall any further behind than they already have, there's actually burst of an Udyr Phoenix stance and a shockwave one-shotting Jeskla, then you think, all right, maybe there's an angle, but unfortunately, I think the gold lead was just too big and Vitality.Bee just continued to smack them with their wallets.
And they took those wallets to the bank. They're going to take those wallets to the quarterfinals. Whether they'll be able to cash in any further today, here's another question we're going to find out in our next matchup as well. But Vitality.Bee looked very, very scary up against Szygenda. And on the other side, Red Star didn't look so hot and willing to be able to find some form.
I mean, the gold graph. Dude, it kind of just speaks for itself. There are a couple of moments in the beginning which are green. Sure. By 289 gold? I don't think I've seen a more one-sided gold graph. Like, there's not even a dip. That's absurd. And I mean, look how much damage Diplex actually ended up doing as well. Speaking of dips, Diplex almost 20k on the dot. Pretty insane game from him. Hopefully he can keep that momentum going into Eintracht Spandau, who of course now with this win from the French side no longer have an opportunity to make it into the quarterfinals, but of course still looking to maybe play upset, maybe looking to go out on a last huzzah.
And getting themselves that 3rd place is going to be super important because they've got a matchup still against Red Star where they need to be winning that one, but picking up wins against other teams will help them greatly in coming 3rd rather than 4th in this group. And of course, for Szygenda, they want to find themselves a first win. They've only got 2 more matches to do so because there's no tiebreakers down there at the moment. So I think it's just going to be a case of these 2 teams. I surprisingly expect this game to be close, though. Eintracht Spandau up against Vitality.Bee. I think Spandau, a little bit wounded off their last game, looked very, very good for long periods of the early game. Maybe they should have just watched Vitality.Bee to see how to close out in the mid game because they struggled a little bit in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, you basically just took the words out of my mouth. I think the key difference between these 2 teams at the moment is Eintracht Spandau, their early game, their understanding of basically most of the fundamentals in terms of, the early dragon control, herald control in particular, they seem to, of course, really love their heralds, is pretty stellar, but it's about that dead time, the lull time right between there being no Baron on the map, no dragons, no heralds, where it seems to be a bit of a consistent thing where they sort of slow down. That was, a bit of a case study in game number 1 today, but many teams will struggle with it. But again, it's something we've seen from them. They did it actually against the Go Rogue last week as well, where they had a pretty sizable lead through Pride on Jayce into Simbivax Camille, and they weren't really able to push the lead to other areas of the map, and they just got outscaled.
And that inability to really carry through performances into victories is what's ultimately cost this team, because you can see so clearly how strong they are and how good their individual players can be. The problem being they just can't turn that into a win. They can't turn that into consistently taking down their opposition. And coming up against Vitality.Bee, who just did that to Sven and Zvezda, I'm a little bit scared for them, even though I think this game will be much, much closer than the one we just watched.
Yeah, my worries kind of lie in after the early game. I think maybe in the early game, Eintracht Spandau, they've definitely shown a fairly strong consistency to be able to keep up with these teams in the early game, right? I think, or in many cases, push, a lead in the early game. But again, the issue lies if they don't continue to push the lead and continue to use the agency that they've built up for themselves, whether it be through draft or gameplay, then Vitality.Bee will just say, oh, these guys aren't doing anything. And all of a sudden we have 2 items and we just kind of win the game. Of course, things like draft come into this to sort of spice up the variety of how easy it is to sort of say these blanket statements. But again, Vitality.Bee, coming off the back of a game like that, they're going to be feeling hot. They're going to be feeling warm. And Eintracht Spandau, a little bit of a break as well. Not necessarily having the game that they wanted out of game number 1. I think things like mentality and such can definitely start to play a part as well.
It's going to be important for them to be able to hold on to their mentality, though, because when you're in a game against Vitality.Bee, who have been shown to be a very strong early game team, you need to be on it from the get-go. That being said, of course, we know that Eintracht Spandau can scrap it out with the best, even though they've lost a number of games in the group stage so far. Still 100% record on the Rift Herald. So they're clearly doing something right when it comes to rotating in early game objectives. Question being is, can they turn that into a win? On the other side for Vitality.Bee, just because we've got a couple of minutes before we're going to go into draft, is there anything that you'd like to see from this roster better, right? I know it's weird saying that after such a strong performance, but we're perfectionists around here. We want to see if they can make every single thing count. Is there anything that they need to work on even a little bit?
I mean, the thing for me is they are so well-rounded, right? They can play through Jactroll and Jeskla, they can play through Diplex, they can play through Szygenda on the top side. There's not really anywhere they have to, worry about. So in terms of Bell, I mean, not really. I'm not saying they're a perfect team, but I think right now the level they're playing at is fine for where they are. And obviously once they have an idea of who they'll be playing in the cores, they can adjust and adapt any play styles if they feel necessary. So, I mean, here into Eintracht Spandau, maybe just ensuring that they can kind of keep them in a position where Eintracht Spandau don't have the ability and agency, perhaps, to make some early game plays to make it a little bit uncomfortable for them at most. But again, Vitality.Bee are the kings of the early game inside this group, right? I think coming into the day or something like 2K average gold lead at 15, they are just a very dominating side.
And for me, it's a case of, can Eintracht Spandau, even if they get themselves a lead, are they going to be capable of doing anything? And again, that's massively going to come down to draft, because I'd like to see Spandau draft a little bit differently, potentially. We saw Go Rogue going for a very poke-heavy composition into their very standard draft, and it worked out exceptionally well. So whether they want to try something similar, maybe go for something that is aggressively early game to try and give themselves the best advantage and say, hey, we can't really close out a game with 2K gold lead. This game we're going to have 6. And that's going to be the way that we win out. Something like that would be an interesting angle. Whether they want to try and deviate if they've got that in their locker is another question entirely, because Vitality.Bee isn't really the team you want to run scrims into. But let's just remind ourselves very quickly of these 2 rosters. Vitality.Bee up against Eintracht Spandau. On the blue side, Vitality.Bee, Szygenda, Skeanz, Diplex, Jeskla, and Jactroll.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seen what the Vitality.Bee lineup is capable of. And I mean, just looking as strong as all of the other LFL seeds, to be honest with you. I think, obviously, I mean, even thinking about it, it's kind of hard to seed where you would think they are in terms of sort of 1 to 3. BDSA didn't quite make it into quarters, so you can very easily put them 4th. But coming into Eintracht Spandau here, Pride, Obsess, Special, Kynetic, Prime, fighting for nothing more than Pride and the potential to upset, of course, the French side. But again, like we said, very capable of playing out early games very well, in my opinion. They've got a lot of priority on the top side for the Herald, a lot of priority on getting Pride ahead in particular a lot of the time as well. Maybe they can use this as an angle to actually try and, come into this game confidently and say, just because we're out, we're not necessarily down just yet until we're out of games. So yeah, I think, again, given how we just saw Vitality.Bee play and given how we saw Eintracht play in game number 1, it's going to be a difficult game for them, I feel, no matter how you slice it. But maybe Vitality.Bee come in a little relaxed, a little confident. And again, that can also be another factor. But Vitality.Bee do just generally seem a little more disciplined compared to perhaps maybe, likes of the Karmine Corp on the opposite side.
They're a good team. We're jumping into Champ Select. Speaking of playing for Pride, I'd like to see Eintracht Spandau draft for Pride a little bit more potentially in this game. Going to be giving him something that he can got to against toe-to-toe with Szygenda, who last time around on the Aatrox was absolutely terrifying. But as you can see, first couple of bans have come through. LeBlanc and Zeri, Jarvan 4 also taken off the table. No real surprises just yet.
Yeah, and I will say I'm actually surprised that there's been such a big absence of Xayah today. That has been pretty high priority. Jarvan, the second ban for Vitality.Bee, like you said, I wonder if they will just go for Volibear. We've seen 2 Volibear blue side bans today as opposed to the red side. So I wonder what's happening there, because it has either been banned on the red side or nearly first picked in most games by blue. Jinx will join the ban bench as well. So starting to think of things, of course, like the Misfortune, and down those kind of routes for the AD carries. And of course, I mean, the Xayah's still there. Kinetic landing it a lot with the Ahri gone as well. It's maybe something you think about, but the bear is there for Skeanz, and I expect it will be locked in, and it just makes too much sense. Now, I would actually like to see Kinetic on the opposite side take up the Xayah for himself, and perhaps Eintracht Spandau will go for, a jungle matchup, which perhaps they know they're going to be comfortable to skirmish with in the early game. And that's obviously the Trundle, of course, going to have a very nice time in terms of matching the skirmishing potential of the Volibear. And of course, once he hits that sort of level 6 mark, being able to subjugate the additional stats that Volibear potentially gets in the 1v1. Very nice, but of course, the pillar is all very disruptive to the play pattern, in particular of Volibear. Matched immediately by the Gnar and the Varus, though. So Vitality.Bee, very clear idea of the champions they want to play. Jeskla getting his second game on the Varus today will match and actually outrange, technically, the Xayah in terms of the feathers to the range of the piercing arrow. And Szygenda blind picking this Gnar does give Pride the opportunity to go for the likes of the Jayce into this matchup if he wants it, and there's just no reason not to. And Eintracht Spandau now will probably look to remove away, if I had to take a wild guess, more likely mids and then go for specials pick on R4. I feel like holding support counter pick into Jactroll and into Jeskla actually has a lot more value than you'd probably think, just because of how strong that bottom side can be. But at the same time, you have Jayce, you have Trundle, you probably want to play towards the top side. Holding mid R5 is also very valuable here, just so you can get some confirmed mid lane priority to shift out towards the top side and use Pride's pressure.
The only part I'm going to need to add to that is Obsess, like how he grabbed his jungler early, saying to his team, look, last game I had to play Kha'Zix because y'all didn't pick for me and all the junglers were banned. So this time around, fingers out the Trundle saying, look, we're going to play a champion that I'm very, very comfortable on. And the Rakan and the Nautilus are both going to hit the bench, as you said, maybe looking towards some mid-bans, but those supports, the Rakan taken away from the Xayah pairing, makes a lot of sense, wanting to get rid of some of that heavy engage. Whether they'll go to a couple of mid laners now, the Fresh actually shows that we might be delving a little bit deeper into the support pool.
Yeah, and I think Eintracht Spandau should probably eye up something like a Leona, just so they have a little bit more engage. Right now, when you're really working with sort of poke and sort of, I suppose, disengage, right? Allowing people to come into you as the Trundle is what you're mostly looking at. Vitality.Bee could also just ban it away themselves if they're necessarily scared of it. I don't feel like they will be, considering they'll have counter pick on that. And instead, we'll look to take away special Syndra instead. While they hang up Syndra, they could be going for something super passive like Diplex on Orianna with a ban like that. But we'll see what exactly they want with that Syndra ban away. Eintracht Spandau, however, 2 options, like we said, right? You go for the mid lane now to give a good value to, sort of a bottom lane 2v2, 3v3 with Trundle, or you play, Prime's pick here, and then you get mid lane counter pick for special into Diplex, and then you can play mid into top instead. I think that fluidly makes a little more sense, and Renata will come in for Prime to try and dissuade any dives and too far forward movement from Vitality.Bee.
I'm very interested that they pick up the Renata after banning the Nautilus, because that's a very favourable matchup for the Renata. So interesting that they've decided against allowing that one through. And Diplex, more like Dipvex. Am I right?
Chat's not going to like you for that one. Lux comes in at the support role for Jactroll, and we saw it hovered actually very briefly, and I was actually expecting them to lock it in. I suppose the theory is just try and outrange the Renata, and it's just a whole bunch of poke and priority now for the bottom side of Vitality.Bee. And this, of course, was the trade-off, right? You either go for mid on R4 as Eintracht Spandau, and you get counter-picked, and then you get counter-pick in support for a little bit of pressure. Now they have specials pick into Vex. What would it be? Syndra's already gone. It's going to just be the Sylas for special, so a lot of skirmishing potential, and honestly, fairly decent ultimates to steal away as well for a special. It's not like the highest value ones in the world, but you've got Gnar, that's not too bad. Skeanz ultimate, turn off towers for dives, not too bad. Chains of Corruption obviously also scales off AP, so that's going to feel pretty good. And I imagine also the Vexar, does it reset? I'm actually unsure. I've never seen these two champions play, nor have I tested the interaction, but I'm sure we might get a demonstration in this game. However, actually... Okay, no. I was about to say, yeah. Pride was holding on to the Sylas, which of course, Sylas historically has had a fairly good matchup into the Gnar in the laning phase. And maybe they were looking to run Jayce in the mid lane instead, but swap it around and we get the expected positions of these players on these champions. So Eintracht Spandau, I mean, you know, bottom side matchup, probably looking to get poked out quite heavily. They're not going to have too much pressure on the bottom side. I expect, though, they will try and leverage this top side matchup, the mid 2v2 as well, and try and play through that. Vitality.Bee, I think it's basically the inverse, right? Leverage the pressure that you've got from the Varus Lux lane. You should have full priority for a majority of that laning phase. Try and get the early dragon stack, and if you can maybe even look for a mid lane 2v2 early on, go ahead and go for it. I think it probably does favor Eintracht Spandau in the earliest stages, so maybe try and vie away from it, but eventually you will be able to do that. And again, a lot of bruisery, sort of divey top side, a lot of poke to follow up for it from the bottom side. I think Vitality.Bee's composition does make a little more sense. We'll see what both of these teams want to do, though, with their drafts and where they put their priorities as we are here into Champ Select. Into the game. Our Champ Select.
Wow, they've really changed the graphics on Champ Select, you know. But we are on to the rip for our third game of the day. Of course, Vitality.Bee already secured in their position in quarterfinals. Not secured whether they'll be first or second seed in the group, though. That is one of those things that will be decided by this game. Eintracht Spandau cannot make it any further in the tournament. Want to play spoiler, want to grab as many wins as possible and give some pride to the Prime League.
Yeah. Speaking about bringing pride, anything, I feel like that's going to be the game plan. Get pride ahead.
Yes.
ASAP. But my worry then lies again in, you know, things we've already seen out today, right? Where Eintracht Spandau will have a pretty decent early game. They'll pick a lane. Often it is pride. Get him ahead. But then how they push the lead on the rest of the map is my thing. And if they're not doing anything, Vitality.Bee have definitely shown the ability to actually do something in these kind of sort of open map states. Of course, the previous game, they're a little far ahead. So it's certainly easy to kind of just take the lead on one side of the map when you're 10,000 gold up already. But hopefully, for the Eintracht Spandau side, they will actually play with a little more agency once they do grab a lead. Obsess, starting on the top side, actually pathing down towards the bottom side, unless he maybe goes towards the mid lane for a level 2 gank. Curious to track Obsess's pathing, because you would expect on his first path, he would want to go up towards the top side and kind of guard the Jayce on a wave crash or the like. Sort of that level 3 mark, but Skeanz will also be pathing down towards the bottom side. The more expected path of him, because of course he's got so much priority down on the bottom side instead, so perhaps they will end up butting heads, but you can see the poke from Jactroll and Jeskla already starting to cause Kynetic and Prime a little bit of issues in their health bar department. Pride level 2 on Szygenda will get a pretty decent chunk out, but nothing more from that trade.
I always like looking at Szygenda's champ pool. Gnar is really the tankiest he goes, by and large. Doesn't look towards those Ordens. Not looking to be up there on the... Playing something that has a little bit of priority, that does something in the matchup, and this time up against the Jayce should be looking to do just that. Skeanz is going aggressive into Obsess's jungle, though, and will just be causing a ruckus. Diplex moving up, so is Prime. This could turn into a real skirmish. The roadblocks up, road closure, go around as Skeanz is actually going to dive back forward. The thunder coming through, Obsess goes low, burning with the ignite, and will be chased away. The jungle camp is secured as Obsess just about survives.
Yeah, and I mean, Skeanz just making really good use of his double lane priority there. Recognizes Diplex is going to have early lane prior into the Sylas bottom side. We already spoke about how we expected Jactroll and Jeskla to consistently shove in Kynetic and Prime. Just gets that blue buff steal away, and now Obsess isn't going to be able to interrupt too much on the bottom side. Handshake company tower, Jactroll!
Oh, damage coming through. Jactroll burns down. Prime securing first. Ballard actually looking towards Jeskla a little bit here. Kynetic standing a bit far back because it doesn't have the biggest health bar, but the pot is rolling. Jeskla will be able to flash away, and it's not going to be followed by Kynetic. But in the mid lane, we're going to have a bit of a scrap as well as Diplex putting some damage down to Special. Was looking to trade over, but will take a lot of auto attacks on the way out.
Yeah, I mean, Jactroll just steps too far forward. I'm not sure he was tracking where the feathers were from Kynetic, and they get recalled, and he gets rooted up. Hanshuk underneath the tower as well. Really big misstep. It's going to break a lot of the tempo. They were building up the momentum that they had going for them. See how much of a difference it makes inside that lane, because the kill does go to Prime. It doesn't actually go to Kynetic. So it does alleviate some of the pressure. Pride clipped by the boomerang, but how much trouble is he really in?
Trouble, because Sygenda's got a big Obsess. Needs to get through quickly, and the damage is coming on the splash over Szygenda, but he is going to be caught with the road closure. And it's going to be Pride helping out Obsess to secure the kill.
Yeah, and Pride baits into Szygenda with the Time Warp Tonic. Had some pots. He might have even had a cookie as well. I think I saw his mana bar go up. And of course, Time Warp Tonic brings flat value of that health immediately to you once you start chugging it. Skeanz, Predator on the way up here.
He's running. He's looking to go quick down on all fours. The teleport coming up to dissuade. A special will help his top laner get away. But now he has to move all the way back mid.
Yeah, really good eyes though from Vitality.Bee not to overreach. They see special teleporting on that tower. Of course, you can see people teleporting on towers from our vision. And of course, the other one is control wards. You can see people teleporting on control wards. So good awareness to ensure that they don't overstep there. Otherwise, 3v2. Not sure how well that would have gone for them. Special very early on the side. Of course, a lot of skirmishing power available to that champion. Even without the ultimate available. Full rotation of spells. A lot of damage. But Pride gets away with his life. So does Obsess. And that's going to feel okay for the top side. Pride didn't get the kill, however. So the lead isn't going to be, you know, astronomical by any means. As Szygenda actually continuing to trade fairly evenly.
He's going to go large in a second. Could look for the stun. Actually takes a beating, and Pride going to step forward. The wallop doesn't land as Pride is going to continue poking, but with the additional health, that should be okay.
Yeah, should be fine. Gets a little bit of that regen back from the Mega Gnar transformation. Looking for the wallop. Pride, if he goes on him once he hits Mini, a lot of damage would come down. Of course, loses so many resistances, but able to walk away just in time. Shock Blast goes wide and actually clipped by the boomerang. I think the observers don't know whether a solo kill's gonna come as well. I would be
They're like,
staring up here as well. It's like, what's happening? Is it just a 1v? Like, it feels like a custom between two players, you know? How solo lanes will often practice their laning phases. Ooh, chains.
Some damage down, but has been ignited. Diplex running forward, getting the damage and the solo kill for Vex.
Yeah, I mean, difference there. Diplex has Ignite. Special doesn't. I think that's it. Otherwise, it would have been a 1-for-1, I think, as Skeanz, no ultimate, looking to make a dive work. Kynetic, both summon spells are very low.
He's running. Predator is rolling the root down. The cleanse has been used, but now the stun cannot be got through. Skeanz gets taken out. Kynetic surviving on a sliver of health as Prime holds the tower.
Yeah, Prime, another great handshake underneath the tower. First it was onto Jactroll. This time around, it's onto Skeanz. Stops the dive from happening, but he gets clipped by the root.
Oh, the damage is decent. The Ignite runs through, and there's no bailing himself out of this one.
Yeah, shutdown. I think Bailout's still on cooldown because he used it on Kynetic as well. Not that he would have been able to have traded back a kill, I don't think, but Jeskla picks himself up a shutdown kill. It's a lot of extra bonus gold to get. Kynetic's missing out on a bunch of these waves. Jeskla already up over 20 CS. He's going to be feeling so comfortable, so happy about that. Now Vitality.Bee, they have, you know, this avenue through the bottom side to play through. Diplex has a bit of a lead in the mid lane. Top side, it's just attracting so much attention. Two members already rotating, but look at Pride's health bar, Szygenda as well. Look at the rotation.
Now it's going to be a fight as Skeanz is going to be caught under his own tower. Goes low, the shield's there. Pride gets the yordle though. We'll make it a 1-for-0 trade, but I thought top was usually weak side. What?
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, sure, that like traditionally that is a lot of the time, but right now, I mean, Eintracht Spandau as a team, they play into Pride so often. Same thing for Vitality.Bee. Honestly, they do play into Szygenda a fair amount. He plays so many carry champions. And the Gnar might not necessarily fall under the, you know, strict category of a true damage dealer. Diplex
gets the fear onto 2. Jactroll is there, gets the root, and only lands onto 1. A lot of damage falling onto Special as the Yordle scurries away. Diplex surviving, and this is the survivability of the Vex. So much shielding, so much utility. Really, really strong in these situations.
Yeah, 15 seconds later, and I think that honestly could have been something that Vitality.Bee turn around on with the Shadow Surge. But Diplex didn't quite have that one available. Kynetic on the bottom side now finally has level 6, so if he does get caught by the likes of a Binding, or he feels like he's going to get caught by that binding. Chains Corruption as well. Can just cast the Featherstorm and have a little bit of extra safety. The bottom lane hasn't necessarily been going Eintracht's way. I mean, Prime does have 2 kills, but the issue is Kynetic didn't really pick up anything for it besides the assists. Has been missing out on a lot of CS, as is. Big Wave being stacked in, and Skeanz does look like he's actually pathing down towards it, but actually makes a beeline now towards the top side. Stacked Wave, Volibear level 6. Definitely could have made a dive here work, but looks to play away from this side of the map for now. And he's here to match Obsess in the mid lane.
Oh, it's going to be a 2v2. Skeanz running forward, looking potentially towards Special. Gets the slow, gets the stun. The damage comes through from Vex as well. Obsess step forward to try and bouncer him away. As Skeanz actually going to go very, very low, but Diplex is still laying on the damage. The ultimate comes through from Volibear, but he's not going to be able to catch up to Obsess. Will actually fall, and now Diplex is left to try and pick up the kills. Will not be able to get a return onto Special as he flashes away.
Yeah, flashes away, but I mean, at the end of the day...
Side, it's looking hostile, but Jeskla sidesteps the ult.
Hostile, no takeover from the Renata ultimate though. And I mean, Vitality.Bee continue their domination. Now it's just in the 2v2 because of the lead that they have. Really working out well for them. Vitality.Bee do, however, lose out on that 2v2 in the mid lane. And that is some of the skirmishing power of Trundle into the Volibear, right? You steal away so many stats. If he does, of course, use the ultimate. In this case, Subjugate just doing its magic, making Skeanz so squishy. Special and himself were able to slip out away with a kill. Diplex almost brought down the mid lane, just not quite enough damage. By the end of it, I think replay will probably be of the mid lane skirmish. And yeah, I was expecting Skeanz to honestly try and work with that stacked wave on the bottom side. Instead, goes towards the mid lane, hovering for this gank, is able to cover it, and then decides to actually fully commit onto Special. And it looks okay to begin with, but that Shadow Surge actually blocked out. If it goes on Special, maybe he ends up dying, but it still has flash for himself. Obsessed steps really far forward. The fear into the ultimate from Skeanz almost connects into chain TC and damage, and a lethal one at that into the Trundle, but it's not quite enough. And Diplex wasn't quite able to finish off Special with that passive auto attack. As Jactroll just goes mid, chunks out Special, and that should be all they need for this Herald. But actually, top side trade went so heavily in favor of Pride that it started to pull the members more up towards the top side. No Mega available.
A little fight here, but it looks like Vitality.Bee giving respect and going to be backing away. Szygenda has to flash over the wall and will lose out on his ultimate as Special now has the Gnar ready to go. But Szygenda just going to be throwing a couple more autos into that Rift Herald. Not really achieving too much by it, just going to try and get himself angry before what could be a fight. And though there won't be one around the Rift Herald, you seem interested.
Eintracht Spandau refused to give up their 100% Herald takedown rate. That's what it is. As they force Vitality.Bee off, they get Szygenda's flash, and they will take this Herald. Vitality.Bee yield it entirely. And curiously, no dragon has been taken. It's just been reminded. Maybe Vitality.Bee will look for that trade now. Very surprising considering how much pressure Jeskla and Jactroll put into Kynetic and Prime. But it's mostly been the focus on this top side. Speaking of Pride.
If you two top laners don't stop fighting, I'm turning this game around. Goodness me. It's been non-stop action in the top side. Bottom lane just chilling, they're farming. It's all been fun and games. I mean, there's been some diving, don't get me wrong. But we expect that in this day and age. Obsess actually going to be rooted up, takes a little bit of poke. The dragon, now that you've reminded both teams that it exists, it looks like Vitality.Bee are trying to gain some control in that realm. As another plate taken up by Pride. Some gold going into the Jayce. We've seen how powerful this champion can be already today. As it looks like Pride is going to try and do the same, but more poke, more damage, looking to try and get Kynetic down below half health, but the root doesn't secure the kill.
Just so much outrange here between Lux and this Varus. Such a smart pick. In isolation here, and Eintracht Spandau, they're just getting punished on the bottom side, and now we're kind of seeing some soft symptoms, right, of Eintracht Spandau. They have a bottom side, which is really just not going in their favor. Oh my goodness me, Featherstorm. Even has to be committed. And it's like, okay, our bottom lane is getting beaten to hell. We have a top side where we can probably play through, and a bottom side, or a mid lane, which, you know, can be played with, but perhaps, you know, Diplex a little bit too strong now. They're finally going to get Obsess up here with the Herald and try and get potentially the tower. I think with Skeanz covering it might not be enough, and we'll see. I think respecting the fact that Special has first move means that this tower will go down. So finally, a bit of a response to what's happening on the bottom side, but the issue is they're not too far behind on tempo. They're going to take this tower maybe no more than 10 seconds after they lose the top side. Szygenda looking for Skeanz. Obsess is here as well on the opposite side, though.
Skeanz is going to be able to get the stun down and the kill before Obsess can even attend. As Diplex is now going to run the cutoff route, gets the ultimate down. The fear is real as Diplex doing so much damage. The ultimate should be able to help secure, but that's going to give us Subjugation a lot more bite as Obsess looks to get one more chop, but gets walloped into the floor. As it's going to be Gnar securing the kill.
Just a touch greedy from Eintracht Spandau. Trying to take away the Gromp. You kind of had an idea, I believe, that Skeanz was covering the area. Or at the very least, maybe the thought process is because of how aggressive Jeskla and Jactroll were on the bottom side, they were thinking Skeanz would be down towards the dragon. Perhaps that's the information they were working with. Didn't quite get a read otherwise, but Pride shoving onto Szygenda and Obsess. He sees the Predator icon above his head, so he should actually be giving info that Volibear should be nearby, but unfortunately, Pride gets run down a little bit too fast. Shadow Surge over the wall. Connects nicely. Skeanz also does a great job of avoiding the pillar. In the picture-in-picture, however, hostile takeover almost brings Jactroll below 400 HP. Seems to be fine, and now Kynetic.
He's going to have to cleanse away from the chains. As Private Kynetic will back away once more, but the bot lane is hemorrhaging at the moment for Eintracht Spandau. Yeah, top lanes look pretty decent, but Vitality.Bee coming back into this game more and more, but they're looking to try and get onto Jactroll. Flashes away from the pillar, especially coming over the wall though, looking towards the Lux. Damage is big, and Sylas will secure the kill. Jeskla giving a lot of respect and a lot of space between himself and Eintracht Spandau. The dragon is on the menu. It's Mountain, second Drake of the game at the 15-minute mark. Very, very slow on the uptake of these neutrals. In fact, it looks like none have been taken.
Yeah, no, none, right? That's what I was saying earlier. I think unless it was an error of the graphics, but I don't think it was. I just think no team had any care in the world. If we see a pop-up saying it's Ocean Rift, then we'll have our confo. But it's not. It was literally just the first dragon of the game. And Pride up here on the top side, still matching, and I just kind of strange, I think, for Vitality.Bee to not have that dragon leverage. Given their usual priority when they have, you know, a strong side to take the neutrals on that side of the map, they're usually really good at it. Not picking up that dragon until so late into the game. Now means Eintracht Spandau have their first dragon. And the first dragon of the game, and we're going to have a very late soul if we do get to that point.
Christian will be if we get to that stage, but gold is dead even between these two sides. Both teams having flaws, having faults, but by and large, just wanting to scrap, just wanting to fight, and it's been out-and-out aggression from both teams in this one so far. Jactroll gets the root down, a lot of damage actually going to land onto Renata, but Prime won't fall and gets a bit of vision before backing away once more. But in the top side, Skeanz subs in for Szygenda as they look to take the damage to Pride, but the Jayce is just putting in so much hurt.
Yeah, just puts in massive chunk, and Szygenda will now take his place. Or rather, Diplex will take his place. Beg your pardon, Szygenda off on the bottom side. And Eintracht Spandau maybe eyeing up some kind of mid lane play, but Jeskla has flash, so even if he gets pillared, that's the most you'll probably get out of it. And to be fair, a lot of movement speed between Bailout and King's Domain. But Obsess just isn't able to find anything. Take a little bit of vision on the way out and then leave. So now again, okay.
Very nice flash from Prime over the corrupting changes. Yes, it might be called out. Hit Kynetic secures the kill. So the hostile takeover means nothing. Skeanz is moving forward though. Obsess might be on the wrong side of the fight, but Kynetic's still there. Prime's still there. Looking to maybe turn this one into a collapse. Can't find the handshake, but will handshake and leave. Eintracht Spandau find a nice pick.
Yeah, they do find a nice pick. They walk away with it for free for now.
Kynetic's in trouble though. Stunned up, has to cleanse. The ultimate coming through. Will land onto Prime on the other side, trying to bail himself out. Won't be able to find anything. Skeanz moves forward, picks up the kill. Diplex still stands for a second longer, goes over the wall, but Obsess will follow. There's no shielder big enough to survive against the Trundle, as now Skeanz is the wrong jungle. Will fall low. The stun, the heal actually trying to find a way out, but Sylas will use his own ult against him, secures himself a kill. Rooted so can't get onto Jactroll. But once again, Eintracht Spandau, decent fight.
Yeah, decent fight. They bite back, and I mean, honestly, they're up 1,500 gold. Not a bad place to be, but again, where will they continue to push lead if they can find more, Because right now, I think you lead on Pride, sure, but you have to get him set up. You have to set up vision towards that side of the map and make something happen. Jeskla looks for the Chains of Corruption onto Prime. Thinks he's not on vision, but he is. They're both on vision to each other. Featherstorm over the wall. Easy as does it. And I was expecting Szygenda to immediately jump out onto Prime and onto Kynetic, but instead looks towards Obsess. Kind of just slowly forces them out. Nothing really comes of it. But then it's this extended sword trade. Kynetic takes a bit of a greedier path. Skeanz forces the Flash and the Cleanse out away. Diplex's Shadow Surge actually dodged out on by Kynetic, but it still lands onto Prime. Gives him the reset. They're able to take down Kynetic on the backside. But then Obsess is just too damn strong. Subjugates, I believe, Diplex. Takes him down after a flash over the wall. Special finally shows up to the party. By this point, it's Vitality.Bee that have just gone a little bit too deep. And they eventually do get run down. But again, moments, you know, where Vitality.Bee, again, they do occasionally overstep. Despite being a fairly disciplined team so far at this tournament when they do have leads, can be a bit of a problem for them. Into teams like Eintracht Spandau, once they move off into the quarterfinals, Vitality.Bee, against teams that will try and punish them for this.
Eintracht Spandau are punishing them for it pretty heavily. Have gone into that mid lane, taking down tier 1, looking towards the tier 2 as a 5-man unit. Will be able to secure it. Obsess needs to be a little bit careful. They took a beating, weathered the storm though. Will be able to get the 2 objectives, but now Prime needs to be careful. Skeanz rolling towards him, getting damage down. Pride is there. The hostile takeover helps secure the kill as now Prime will run off into the river. No flank available, but Diplex looking for the reset. Will be able to go onto Pride. Will he be bailed out? No, he won't. As now Diplex gets the reset himself. Looking for Prime. Won't be able to find the ultimate though. It's thought away from Gnar into 2. That's huge from Vitality.Bee. As now Szygenda will claw his way back towards Obsess. The Trundle's still very healthy. Prime scarpers into the jungle. But once again, a fight is a fight. As Vitality.Bee chase on. This time around, it's all about the LFL team. Obsess probably gets away.
Run, Troll King, run. Another singularity lands. If another boomerang lands, they'll probably try and chase it down. The pillar comes in though.
Oh!
We'll spell the end. Nah, it deals no damage through the shield. You have to remember, Jactroll, I think, only has an Everfrost and maybe Sork Pen Boots, so...
But I choose to live in a world where Lux Ultimate does a lot of damage.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I can relate. I can feel that. As Eintracht Spandau lose out on that skirmish. The gold lead they just had dissipates. They get that mid lane tier 2, but nothing more as we get the replayers. They get the tower. They're just looking to retreat, really. Nothing more than that. And then Skeanz kind of just a little bit too far ahead of his team. Gets Renata all mid and just removed from the team fight. Especially on the bottom side, does get the Mega Nut ult, and it doesn't really come to too much, I believe. As you can see, the front side, special. He's looking for Jactroll and he's looking for Jeskla to get CC'd up. We know what's happening on the backside. Szygenda and Diplex doing wonders to keep their backline protected as they deal with their own backline threat. And that Mega Nut from Szygenda pretty much wins them this skirmish.
Now just jumping back into what could be another bit of a scrap. We've got the Infernal Rift spawning 22 minutes into the game. Very, very late for the second dragon to be taken, but it was secured. Vitality.Bee grabbed themselves the ocean. As Baron is very much a target, but Skeanz needs to be careful. He's not all that tanky, but the bailout, will it land? No, it won't. Jactroll picks up the kill onto Pride, as now Diplex in a whole heap of problems. Will go down. Special moving forward.
Wait a minute.
Looking towards Szygenda on the other side of the fight. Eintracht Spandau have taken the fight so far, and looking towards Jeskla. The Troll King sticks on him. The damage comes through, and Trundle survives. How has that happened?
I don't know, but Szygenda and Jactroll, they're still alive. Will they go for the Baron without Pride up and Obsess's health bar so low? It looks like the answer's no. I can't blame them, but at the same time, maybe think about it. I think without Pride, the Baron goes down a little bit too slow. They get a little bit too low, and all of a sudden, Mega Nut could just show up in the Baron pit. They don't want to risk it. Definitely understand that.
Let's not try and convince Eintracht Spandau, of all teams, to go for risky Baron plays.
Look.
Okay?
It would only be Baron incident number 2.
Number 3
of the day.
No, but of the day, because there were 2 incidents in game number 1.
I think you'll find there was only 1, but maybe my memory's as bad as I hope it isn't. Either way, Eintracht Spandau get a pretty positive skirmish, and we'll hold control of the Baron side of the map for now. Vitality.Bee will try and push their way back in slowly but surely. It should be Eintracht that have pressure in the mid lane, but they're just looking for this.
Skeanz is looking to engage once again. Will be rooted back in with the handshake damage coming down, and he's dead once again. It's the same story, different timestamp. As Eintracht Spandau get another catch onto Vitality.Bee's jungler from a really dominant Lee Sin performance. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, a bit shaky. I'm not sure what it is. Overconfidence, just feeling like he's a lot tankier than he is. That perhaps the communication is, my team is a lot closer than I think. Special.
With the Volibear ultimate, goes forward, has the Szygenda on the back of him, though the damage comes through, as does the hostile takeover, ripping people to shreds. As Special tries to get out, won't be able to do so. Szygenda will be chased away. The hammerfall from Pride, looking for 2 members, will be looking towards Jactroll. Diplex falls as the Lux tries to run away in the pajamas, looking to get to bed before she goes down, as Obsess will hit them up. Pride takes them down. Eintracht Spandau with the team fight look towards Baron.
Yeah, they do, and Eintracht Spandau might be looking to play spoiler here for Vitality.Bee. Because Eintracht Spandau, remember, nothing really to play for besides, you know, self-worth, pride in the fact of not going out in the group stages too heavily. Skeanz is here. Szygenda about to hit Mega. No ultimate for a couple more seconds. It's there now, but oh my god, so much damage.
Gets the wall up onto 2, but he's already half health and has to dive away. Skeanz, you can tell that he wants to go for this one. Already getting the movement speed up, looking towards the pit. Baron is on 2 gate health, but Skeanz decides against in the end. Will actually step back forward, has a little bit of support now, but the damage coming out is disgusting from Eintracht Spandau. They take Baron onto 5 members and get away cleanly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with Skeanz here. 0-6-5 as well. A lot of indecisiveness between himself and Szygenda on what they wanted to do with that Baron. Eintracht Spandau capitalize on, I'm not sure what to call this really. Skeanz engages on to Obsess, one of the few targets he probably shouldn't. Gets subjugated, no longer has many resistances and just gets blown up. Special on the top side. I will say it feels like he goes a little bit too deep after the Baron kind of gets started up and they rotate back in. I just has so much damage onto Jeskla. Lands the chains. Kind of just nearly one-shots him. 100-0 does, actually. And whilst he does eventually go down, the bailout almost actually keeps him alive. If anybody can get more damage onto Diplex and Jactroll faster, potentially kept himself alive. But Eintracht Spandau capitalizing on errors of Vitality.Bee's jungler at the moment, just forcing Vitality.Bee into some more uncomfortable positions. Up over 5,000 gold in picture-in-picture. You're seeing a lot of towers and the like being sieged on and taken down as it becomes the full picture.
On the bot side, takes down the tower. Obsess alongside him. The Troll King has been dominant in this matchup so far, able to just move forward so effectively because he can grab really, really great resistance bars from multiple members of Vitality.Bee. It's not just a case of going towards the Gnar. You've got the Volibear with the ultimate that you can steal away from. Even Diplex isn't a bad shout with the Zhonya's Hourglass, providing a little bit of tankiness. And now half health on the Gnar, gets handshook back. The damage is there. The Gnar has to be used defensively to get him out of harm's way, but the push can continue.
Yeah, push will continue. A lot of poke between Kynetic and Pride. And if anybody dives in, I mean, you have to deal with the likes of the Renata ultimate. You have to deal with getting subjugated if you're a frontliner, which doesn't particularly feel good. And again, the engage options kind of limit for Vitality.Bee. They want to be ahead. They want to be the ones pushing the lead and sieging with their range and poke and dive. They're not really suited, this composition, at wave clearing, at playing on the back foot. Eintracht Spandau composition, however, very comfortable to siege on these towers with the Jayce, with the Xayah. Szygenda
caught out. The Volibear ultimate comes down onto him. The Gnar won't be able to claw his way out this time around, but Special moving forward, can't find the last bit of damage as Obsess and Prime take the brunt of the Lux cannon. Will not be able to secure the kill as Pride steps away. Diplex unable to find the ultimate, so no resets in this team fight. And it looks like Eintracht Spandau are looking to change the front of the wall, looking towards Skeanz. Can't find the chains. And the engagement peters out once again. Eintracht Spandau can move towards this first Infernal Dragon for them of the game. Only the third Dragon at the 28-minute mark for either team is very, very slow. They're going to be the ones securing it.
Yeah, 28 minutes into the game. I don't know why it doesn't feel like it. Feels a lot earlier on to me. I don't know how you feel, Will. But Eintracht Spandau sitting very comfortably. And these are kind of the game states, maybe not as far ahead in terms of the flat gold, as we'd expect from Eintracht Spandau, but where, you know, in recency, sometimes, of course, they've not really been able to push much more. And that's where I kind of worry for them in terms of how well they'll be able to, you know, continue to be pretty precise on how they attack Vitality.Bee here. And right now, it's been more, Skeanz has been running into them, trying to attack Spandau. And they respond appropriately. But I think because of all of these, you know, weird shenanigans right now, kind of entered a bit of a weird phase for Vitality.Bee, where actually they see him on vision.
He's going aggressive once again. Marion's going to catch this time around. The aggression pays off as Pride's taken out.
Yeah, that blue ward spots out Pride. I don't think he knew he was so close to being collapsed on so quickly. So they do pick on Pride. So Spandau's range of attack greatly limited. You'll see a recall come in from Skeanz. Szygenda doesn't have teleport, but I don't think he necessarily cares about being on the top side of the map to match the skirmish. Now you see pings come out as Eintracht Spandau say they have to have somebody to respond to the bottom lane siege. It looks like they will have special recall. Not going to actually push onto the tower, but it's just going to be a bit of a map reset. Baron's up in just over a minute's time, and that's where I expect the next fight to occur. Vitality.Bee, they have a bit of a window here if they expect Eintracht Spandau are actually on reset, and I've read the map right, to try and put down some vision, very shallow, just to give them enough information about what's happening.
Keeping my eyes on those timers at the top of your screens for when objectives are coming back onto the Rift. We've got Baron in less than a minute's time, which is why you can see so much priority being placed in the upper side of the river. Both of these teams looking to try and make a catch potentially before the worm spawns, burrowing back onto the Rift for the second time at this game. However, we've had a little bit of quiet. Only a little bit. This game has been very, very action-heavy. Skeanz actually going to help kick this one off once again. Szygenda going to be caught by the Ice Pillar, but knocked towards his own team. Means that he'll be able to get safely away, but it does allow Eintracht Spandau complete control over entrances towards those really crucial objectives. As Jactroll, more than half his health goes in just one ability from Pride.
Yeah, Pride is really strong. Has the 3 core items on the Jayce. And he's going to be able to do that to members like Jeskla as well. Even maybe Diplex to a degree. Won't be as heavy. Has the Zhonya's in his inventory. Has a little bit of armor to deal with that poke, but it's still going to feel bad. Kynetic as well has the same items as Pride does. And with both of these damage carries here, starting up the Baron, Eintracht Spandau try and bring Vitality.Bee in. Why not? Burning the Baron down quite quickly. Teleport's coming in.
This could be a
Vitality.Bee, they just have to look for a steal
here. Special has come through. It's going to be a steal potentially from Skeanz as he looks to try and get behind the pit, but needs to weather the storm. Eintracht Spandau actually going to back away a little bit, hold the Baron at 3,500 health, but Szenda's coming on through. Hasn't got much of a Narbar though, so does need to be careful as the damage rains down. The Baron's actually reset slightly to around 6k. As Obsess needs to make a decision as the jungler, especially going to be called out on the other side, but Szenda's on his own and he gets the Narbars into one. But it could be enough. It's the shutdown onto Szygenda as it's going to be Kynetic securing the kill, and now Eintracht Spandau can move their faces back towards the Baron. Pride gets taken to half health though. Jeskla putting in the poke. Diplex behind the pit, looking for the ultimate, potentially trying to get some damage down. Redemption. But Skeanz is still here, potentially for the steal. More poke flying through as now it's going to be special, trying to peel away but gets stunned up. A lot of damage goes forward to him. He goes into statue form as the hostile takeover turns on Vitality.Bee. Eintracht Spandau take the fight and now should be looking to the objective.
Yeah, they'll be able to get the Baron, no problem here. Shock Blast, a little bit short, taking down that Lux, but Eintracht Spandau, this is the kind of game you want to see when you are up against Rogue earlier on in the day. And as a reminder, Vitality.Bee kind of want to win this game, so they have a much easier time at looking at first place. But now, if they do end up losing this game, their match against the Go Rogue, assuming, of course, that a Go Rogue takedown Red Start, turns into whoever wins gets first place, whoever loses gets second. As Replay, this redemption does so much work to get everybody back on Eintracht's side to full HP. Szygenda already dead, of course. It was a 4v5. They did a great job of bursting him down, but his hostile takeover zones out so many people. It still clips Jeskla when he flashes. Special does a good job of Zhonyazing as well to ensure he doesn't die, and that Feather Storm absolutely obliterates Diplex. And Sylas that gets the kill credit. They will be able to pick up this third dragon for themselves. They'll just look to siege wherever they see fit And again, Vitality.Bee's comp isn't really suited at necessarily dealing with Baron Sieges. They get a little bit outranged by the Jayce. Kynetic does have to step in harm's way to really get some of his poke out there. Szygenda gonna get pillared, but we'll hop over it. Should be just fine. EINS, they just have to use this Baron as a unit. They have a special on the bottom side as well, shoving into someone's gonna have to match him. Skeanz is on the side, the flank as well, but Eintracht Spandau can just sit here comfortably as long as they don't get picked off. That's all they need to do. For Vitality.Bee, they need to find the pick or a 5v4.
Obsess is just hanging out between the top of the bot and the mid lane, and just going to be clearing out vision, controlling any routes of rotation. There's the Trundle. You can see he doesn't take very much damage at all. A special moving in towards Szygenda. The ultimate has been used by Gnar. He's going to jump out of Mega Form. And actually, they're going to commit towards the Sylas, but that means the mid lane tower is cracked open. Special with the huge Gnar, but takes down one and is still alive when his team arrives. Prime with the hostile takeover. Skeanz is ripped to pieces as Eintracht Spandau take the fight in Vitality.Bee's base. They might not be able to go through any further in the tournament, but they've given Vitality.Bee a bloody nose as they take down the LFL team.
Yeah, Eintracht Spandau plays spoiler for Vitality.Bee, and now all of a sudden that final game of the day continues to have its stakes raised. Szygenda will be murdered on the fountain, potentially just about hops away. Actually gets a kill onto Kynetic because of it. And now, Eintracht Spandau doing a pretty big favor for a Go Rogue. Because now all a Go Rogue have to do is beat Red Star, and then when they match up against Vitality.Bee, they will have the exact same standing. Massive upset. I think especially when we saw how Eintracht Spandau played in game number 1 of the day. A little bit too passive in the earlier stages, right? But here, a lot more decisiveness. Vitality.Bee as well, it has to be said. A bit of an off game from Skeanz, we'll say. As the rest of them couldn't really follow up on a lot of his engages. And yeah, Vitality.Bee just looking a little bit off kilter. Not much else to say from my part.
Well, we're going to have an interview very, very shortly with Prime, the support coming out from Eintracht Spandau. Hopefully we'll be able to see him on our screens very shortly when we get the program back. Just going to be hoping for him. There we go. We're going to be grabbing him in a very short while, but it's going to be very interesting to speak to him because not only a great game on the Renata, must be said, some of those hostile takeovers were beautiful, but just on how that game came to fruition because it was a really strong performance.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, might be even sort of as a kick in themselves, maybe, of course. Like you say, it's not really going to mean too much, but still massive to pick up these wins. And of course, do have an interview with Prime.
Yeah, Prime is going to be joining us on screen. Prime, massive congratulations on the win here up against Vitality.Bee. And of course, must be mixed feelings in the camp, but how does it feel to take down such a strong roster?
I think we're very proud to win against them because we proved to ourselves that we are actually a good team. Even though the loss against Rogue make us out of playoffs, I believe. So we're kind of sad but happy at the same time. It's kind of awkward feeling.
Yeah, definitely. It will feel a little bit strange, of course, in that sense. But I want to ask, it's been a little while since you've been here at the Amazon European Masters. You know, what are maybe some of the differences between your last appearance a couple of years ago and your appearance here with Eintracht Spandau? And what are some of the takeaways from this tournament? Of course, you still have one more game to play later on today. Yeah. But what are some of the biggest takeaways and the learnings that you walk away from this tournament with?
I mean, I have way more experience now because I was 18 when I played there last time. Now I'm 22, so way more experience. The fan base is way bigger as well, so we have more support and stuff. So the losses feel less like a loss, I guess. So yeah, just overall, I'm happier with my own performances, even though we didn't make it.
And I mean, the final question for you, you've been exceptional as a player throughout the games that we've seen already today. In that final game against Red Star, are we going to see anything a little bit spicy from Eintracht Spandau? Can you give us any hints on how you'd like to play in that final matchup?
At least I can give you we didn't talk about it as a team, but my personal opinion is that it's going to be the last game that people will see from us. So I think we will try hard, even though the game does not matter. And yeah, it's still a good experience to take, and we'll try to make the game as clean as possible.
Amazing. That's always a great attitude to have, looking to use every experience as a learning one and to put your 100% into matches, even if you can't qualify any further. Prime, congratulations on the massive performance and the win, but commiserations for not getting through to the playoff rounds, and good luck in your final game here at the Amazon European Masters.
Thank you. Have a great evening, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Always great to hear about players who are going to put in all of the effort every single game, and to come back 4 years after his last appearance and to put in such a great individual performance. We're going to jump to a short break now, but when the Amazon European Masters returns, it won't be our faces you'll see. It'll be Duckling and Troublelink taking you through the final matches of the day, starting up with Sven and Zvezda up against Ego Rogue. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.